Number one is obviously being others focused, being focused on serving other people. And when you focus on serving other people, I promise you, everything else will take care of itself. This business is going to test you and see if you're serious. Every single agent comes to a time in their career, a lot of times when it's the beginning, where they're tested and it's like, okay, I'm going to throw some difficulty at you. How are you going to handle this? Are you going to quit the first time you get knocked down? Or are you going to get back up and fight again? A lot of times in this industry, what can happen is we get focused on the highlight reel of somebody of what they're doing, and we don't realize what it took to get there. John Maxwell puts it this way. He said, when people tell him that they want to do what he does, he says, are you willing to did what I did? What did it start with video? Because I think can we all agree that video content is king when it comes to building a real estate business right now? Money follows mastery. So what is it that you're mastering right now? What is it that you're doing to become a better agent in your area? So if you'll be someone that is constantly wanting to learn and constantly wanting to grow, your business and money will chase you down like you can't even imagine if you'll be that person that's always learning and growing. And this business changes very quickly.
Welcome to the Top Real Estate Influencers podcast with your host, Mario Hurley, and myself, Alex Montalenti. Today, we have the pleasure of having Jimmi Burgess on the show. Jimmi is the CEO for Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices Beach Properties of Florida. He oversees 265 real estate professionals, over $2 billion in annual revenue and annual sales in Northwest Florida. He hosts a podcast called the Real Estate Sales Podcast. He's done over 100 episodes there. He has a YouTube channel with over 12,000 subscribers. He's done over 250 videos. He's a contributing author to Inman on a weekly basis, sometimes a couple times a week, which blows my mind. And what I love about Jimmi is that he's not only talking the talk, but he's walking the walk. There's a lot of CEOs out there. There's a lot of managers out there in the real estate space. But I rarely, like you're a unicorn, I rarely see people actually doing what they tell their agents to do, which is the social media work, the YouTube work, the podcast work, and providing really valuable content to the real estate industry. So thank you for being here.
Come on, Alex, man. I feel I'm trying to figure out who you're talking about. I appreciate all those kind words. And this is going to be fun. This is going to be fun. I'm really looking forward to getting with you guys and kind of breaking this down a little bit differently than maybe we ever have. And so excited to be with y'all.
Awesome.
Welcome, Jimmi. So let's start at the very beginning. For some folks that may not know so much about you, they know about you, but they don't know you. Would you share with us what is Jimmi's origin story?
Yeah. So Mario, I kind of started, I was what they call a SOB, son of a broker. My parents, after they got divorced, my dad moved about an hour and a half away and started a real estate company. My mom, my stepfather actually started a real estate company as well. So I kind of grew up in it. After college, I went to work for Merrill Lynch. And after about a year, I was like, this coat and tie thing's not necessarily for me. And so I came back. My brother was at the same time. He came back, was graduating from college. And so we helped my mom grow that company. So you go through all those things, and we went through this time of just doing a ton of transactions. But we were in a little smaller area at that time where I can remember one year we did, I think it was like 109 transactions, and our average sales price was like $68,000. We were just killing ourselves. This is back before Teams. We just had his wife kind of handling some paperwork for us. And so we ended up around 2000 getting out of it for a little bit. He went off to in the car business. I went into banking for about a year. And during that year, it was kind of, I'd never had a position where I was on salary. You know what I mean? I went to work at this bank. I mean, I just always worked, and all of a sudden I'm in this bank and they're taking off like for Lincoln's birthday or something. I didn't know what was going on with all these holidays and these bankers' hours. And so about a year into that, I was like, you know what? I'm at a place where, I just don't feel like I've got the growth opportunity that I'm looking for. And I needed that little bit of a break. Sometimes you need to get away from something to really, truly appreciate it. So after being away from about a year, I knew I needed to get back into real estate. This was right about 2001, 2002, when the market was beginning to take off. And so I just was looking around, and I really dug deep in figuring out what is it that I can do to come back into real estate. I was still at the bank, as I was transitioning back, that I can do. And I said, you know what, I just really need to develop myself. And so I really dove deep into personal development. And there, used to be the old, I don't know, I'd heard it so many times before, the old Zig Ziglar saying, that if you just help enough other people get what they want, you can have everything that you want. For some reason, this one time, and I could literally take you to exactly where I was, driving when I heard it. And it just like boom, it just kind of hit my soul. And so I said, you know what? I'm at this bank. I've got all of these developers that are saying that they wish that they had more, they could sell more lots sooner to some builders. And I had all these builders saying, if I could just find more lots, then I can build more houses. And I said, well, look, if I can just help the two of these get together. So while I'm still at the bank, I got someone made a loan application for this development that they were trying to do. And I just knew the bank was not going to do the loan. But I looked at it a little bit different. I looked at things differently because I looked at it as an agent or someone from that perspective instead of a lender. So I went back to him. I said, hey, I got some good news and bad news. I said, bad news is I don't think, I know the bank's not going to make this loan. The good news is, though, I think I can sell up front enough of these lots where you don't have to take a loan and you can do a simultaneous close. And so I gave them this pattern and they said, well, look, if you think you can do that, go ahead. I still have a license. So that afternoon, after I got out of the bank, I drove over to this raw piece of land, put out a big map on the front of my truck, invited a bunch of builders, and I sold like 17 lots at that time, and that were going to close in 60 days. And I was like, look, I got to get back in real estate. So I left real estate. I left the banking side, got back into real estate. That took off. This is right around 2002. And here's what happened is, you got to understand, I'm at the bank. I've got the salary.
Yeah.
The first year after I leave the bank, and this is the market's taking off. I'm back, got passion back. The market's better. After 1 year, what I was making at the bank for the annual basis became what I was making in a month. And then the next year, what I was making at the bank 2 to 2.5 years previous was what I was making on a weekly basis. Now, here's the problem is sometimes when things go up very fast, guess what can happen? They can come down really fast. And so consequently, here I am, thinking I've got the world figured out as a young person. It's all about me, and the market tanks. And consequently, I go from making $1 million a year, more than $1 million a year for a couple of years, which should have been generational wealth, to finding myself in 2009, I can remember the date, May 5th, 2009, sitting in federal bankruptcy court with my wife by my side, and just wondering, how could I do this? What did I do? What is going on here? And when you do go through something like that, it really does bring priorities, and it makes you realize what's truly important. And all of a sudden I went from it's all about me to remembering that all of the things that I'd had as far as success came from me figuring out what it was I could do for other people. And consequently, everything else took care of itself for me. So listen, this is not like this happened overnight. I went through some health issues. I went through all the other things that come with financial stress. Yeah. Came out on the other side way better than I ever went in. Now, here we are. I can absolutely, the reason why I got so much passion, why I do so much for these, for agents, is that I wish that I got the best job in the world. All I got to do is wake up and figure out, how do I give agents what I wish somebody would have given me? And so consequently, that's what's driving my passion is because then after we come back into this and I've got that renewed focus, of course, we begin to bounce back. And so now here we are. I can honestly look back at what was at that time, what I felt like was the worst thing that could happen to me, and say it was the best thing that ever happened to me. And it gave me perspective. All of a sudden I looked around and my wife is shoulder to shoulder with me. And I was like, she meant it when she said better, worse, rich or poor, sickness and health. And then I look around and I got my kids there and they're healthy and they're happy. And it made me a better father. All of a sudden I realized that, hey, you know what? My clients, it's not just about the next transaction, it's about these relationships. And so I came out of that with a completely different passion. And then after selling for 25 years, I shifted into the position where I'm in now as a CEO here. I was a chief growth officer, helped this company grow. We went from having $400 million in sales in 2018 to $2.1 billion in 2021, which led to us selling this company to HomeServices America, Berkshire Hathaway. And so they named me CEO at that time. And that's the origin story of where we are today. So hopefully that gives you a little better feel for who I am.
That's awesome. 17 lots right there.
Yeah, man, right off the hood of my truck. And I left there and I realized after I did that, because these lots were like $150,000, $200,000 when I did those, I realized that I was going to make more money in 60 days off those closings than I was going to make at the bank for the whole year. And I was like, what are you doing, man? I literally had found a place where I was like, you know what? When I was at the bank, somebody was telling me what I was worth. And I said, I'm never doing that again. I'm going to get into real estate where no one tells me. If I want to make more money, I work harder. If I want to make more money, I help more people. And so that really was a change for me that now I truly do appreciate that understanding that only limits I got is what am I willing to do to serve other people? So.
Yeah. It's great. That is a really great story. And I'm glad that, unlike a lot of people, you actually saw that as something to make you stronger and to make your priorities clear with and you got an amazing wife, because you got to understand nowadays women are very happy to take everything away and blame you for everything and not make the marriage work. So here you are. That's another victory. Ooh.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about that. And I will tell you this too. That's one of those things that I've learned through everything I've been through is, we live in this social media society now where you just get the highlight reels. And I think the ability to be transparent with people. My grandfather used to say it this way. He used to say, if you'll treat people like they're hurting, you're gonna be right about 90% of the time. And so I try to come from a place of understanding, in our business here at our company now, there's not an agent that is anywhere that I haven't been. I've been struggling financially. I've been where I was at a plateau. I've been brand new. I've been at the peak of my career, so I think a lot of times in this industry, what can happen is we get focused on the highlight reel of somebody of what they're doing, and we don't realize what it took to get there. John Maxwell puts it this way. He said, when people tell him that they want to do what he does, he says, are you willing to did what I did? Because that was a lot harder than doing it. It was going through those things. But we are in a business and in an industry where now more than ever, this is why I think I know this is what drives me, is that what took me 9 years, hopefully by me sharing my story, by giving back and sharing some of the ideas of the things that I'm seeing, maybe it takes somebody else, instead of 9 years, it takes them 9 months or 9 weeks. And so I think that's the beauty of being in this business right now is there's never been more information. There is no excuse not to be successful in this business right now. All the information is there. There's people, there's tons of us that are out there just giving it away for free. All you've got to do is be a seeker and you'll find it. And then it's the execution of that and understanding that it truly isn't about you. It's about how much value you're going to bring to these clients. And by doing so, I promise you, they're going to keep feeding you again and again and again with referrals and repeat business.
I can totally relate to what you said, because I got divorced 4 years ago, and Mario was there with me when I was, crying in my closet and thinking the world was over. And that was when we were building the business too, on top of that, and settling debt and dealing with all this craziness.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't find the love of my life right now. I wouldn't be where I am right now. It's like one of our investors says, you get forged by the fire. It's like you come out the other end and it's like, yeah, let's go.
Isn't that what brings the passion? Typically what I found is that when you find somebody that is passionate about something, it's because they had it taken away before. They've been through something that they overcame, and the passion. When I was young and when I started in the business, and it's very good to be at this place. There was a lot of what I was doing, the numbers I was doing was just ignorance on fire. I was just excited about the business. You know what I mean? I was just helping people. The second I lost focus on that it was about the other people is when I struggled. So I think if there's somebody listening now, what I've found personally is that when I take myself out of this, the other thing is if somebody's listening, they're in a struggle right now, what I've also found is when I focus on helping other people, I don't have time to think about the struggle I'm in. The problem is when we get in those struggles, sometimes, it's just natural to just kind of sit in it and just think about it and not do anything. But it's the action of going out and finding somebody else to help that absolutely, it's the old thing, for me. Some people will say, well, why are you so passionate about helping some of these younger agents? And I said, in reality, there were some things that I wish I would have been told, that maybe I could have avoided some pain. And I think sometimes the best way to heal our wounds is to help somebody else not have to have the wounds that we had. So I just think, this is a business where it is about people. And ultimately, I've sold over $500 million worth of real estate. There's been a lot of different transactions there. It was not the $40 million Gulfront place that I remember. It was great, but the one I remember is that single mom that I sat there and she didn't know that she was ever going to be able to own a house, and she just had tears dripping on the closing pages as she signed that, just so thankful for being able to own a house. Those are the things we remember. It's about the people, and I think sometimes we get so focused on the transactions we don't realize what this truly is about.
So let's talk about what it's all about, because I really want it. I want to package it I'm 100% with you. People don't have to go fall on the same hole, fail at the same things just because you went through it. You could tell them, yeah, that's that way you will fail. But if you try this way, there's a better chance for you. And they don't have to go through the same thing and save, especially now with technology. Like you said, all this information is wide open. So
Yeah.
what would you say, and try to package this for us in a nice way? Maybe we'll use it for more marketing material later on. We'll share it. What are the top 10 traits of an extraordinary agent?
Yeah. So let's start with one. It is others focused. The agents in today's environment that are focused on serving other people are the ones that are going to do the best. Now, once you have that, there comes into a couple other characteristics. And you have to let me know on the 10, but I'm gonna hit the ones that I can remember off the
Alex,
top.
you keep track, Alex?
Number one is obviously being others focused, being focused on serving other people. And when you focus on serving other people, I promise you, everything else will take care of itself. Second thing is the persistence. You have to understand that this business is going to test you and see if you're serious. Every single agent comes to a time in their career, a lot of times when it's the beginning, where they're tested and it's like, okay, I'm going to throw some difficulty at you. How are you going to handle this? Are you going to quit the first time you get knocked down, or are you going to get back up and fight again? When you have that friend of yours that lists a home that just is deflating, are you going to sit and sulk about it, or are you going to go find somebody else to help? What is it that you're going to do when the times get tough? Because that persistence, I don't know of a single top producing agent that is not as persistent as anybody I've ever met. They all have that characteristic of focusing on others and being persistent. The next thing is to literally to be someone that is consistent in what you do. If you show me your calendar of your daily events that you're going to do, I can tell you what success is going to look like or not going to look like in the next few months. So do you time block your schedule where every single day you're calling and on the phone and making sure that you're getting in touch with people? We had this cool thing about, and I'm going to get down to this from a standpoint. Listen, you got to make the phone calls, and time blocking that and making sure it's a priority every single day and being consistent is what's going to lead to success. We had this group of agents that came into our area. We were having this great dinner, a couple of top producers from all over. One of them was from Louisiana and had brought this friend of his that was from South Louisiana. He owned an insurance agency that he had about 100 agents there that he oversaw in his company. And he didn't talk all night. He's just sitting there just kind of listening. And then all of a sudden he said in that little South Cajun, I'm not going to give you the Cajun accent, but he basically said, he said, fellas, let me just tell you this. This is where I tell my agents. You see this phone right here? When this phone is sitting on the table like this, that's broke. When it's here, that's rich. Broke, rich. Broke, rich. You make the decision. Are you going to be talking to people, adding value to people, or are you just going to kind of wish somebody would call you, because it's not going to happen? It's the consistency of picking that phone up on a daily basis, adding value to people, finding ways to serve people, and everything else will take care of itself. Again, that goes back to the consistency. What are you doing consistently on social media? What are you doing consistently on video? What are you doing consistently to follow up with your past clients that already know, like, and trust you? That consistency is something that will absolutely yield results that you can't even imagine over time. We're going to talk a little bit about, obviously, with the marketing side of it and the videos. I got to tell y'all, I tell this story because I want people to understand this. They see, the YouTube channel now that I've got. They see all these things. But again, like we were talking about before we came on air, they don't see the things that happened to get there. They don't see the times that I had to persist when people thought I was crazy. They don't see those things, It's going to come. I just promise you it's coming. So I'll give you an example with the videos for me, because you kind of mentioned that. I went back because I was speaking at our national convention last week, and I had to look back and see, okay, what is my video journey? What did it start with video? Because I think can we all agree that video content is king when it comes to building a real estate business right now? So here's what it looked like for me. I went back and looked. I wanted to start doing videos that I was adding value to our agents. And then also we were adding value to some of the agents that were in our area, to not from recruiting, but to give value back, because we knew that if we did that, we'd attract the right agents to come into our company. It took me 16 months and 83 videos posting on YouTube to get the first 100 subscribers. Now, the question becomes, at what video would you have quit? Because I'll promise you, you don't have to have 16 months and 83 videos, because there's way more information now. You know what I mean? You can literally just go in there and copy agents in other markets now. That was not the case back then. But I knew that I was adding value and that it could come back. And you have to understand the way it compounds. over time, the consistency begins to compound. I had someone tell me this the other day, and I never thought of it this way. They said, well, Jimmy, on your analytics, what does it show now? Because this was only 3 years ago, and now here we are. Now it's going 500-600 a month, of subscribers, and it begins to compound. They said, look at your analytics and tell me how many hours people watch your videos. And it tracks it in 28 days in YouTube. And I said, well, it says 3,100 hours. And he says, okay, I want you to break that down. And I want real estate agents to think about this from a content and consistently doing this. And this is where it goes to the consistency. Yeah. He said, well, if that's the case, then what you don't realize is every second we're talking right now, 4 seconds worth of people are consuming your videos. Imagine that as a real estate agent. Imagine the consistency of adding 1 to 2 videos of evergreen type content every single week. Now you can do it with, whether it be with Reels or whether it be with short form video on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube Shorts. It doesn't have to be these full long videos like I've had to do. Yeah. You can do this, but imagine 3 years from now is going to come. 3 years from now, you're either going to thank yourself for being consistent or you're going to wish you were consistent. And it's your choice. Ultimately, it comes down to it being our choice. So the top agents I see and the biggest characteristic I see is they set a path, they understand where they're going, and they are consistent in doing the things on a daily basis that's going to get them continuing to move in that direction. So we've talked about this now. We've talked about somebody that's focused on serving other people, someone that's going to be consistent in all of the things that they do. And now what I want to shift to is it's the people that are learners. One of the things I've seen is, it used to be this way. I heard it said, money follows mastery. So what is it that you're mastering right now? What is it that you're doing to become a better agent in your area? Another saying that I've heard is that low producing people seek to find ways to entertain themselves. High producing people seek for ways to educate themselves. What are you doing? How much time do you spend studying this business, becoming a student of this business? I'm just obsessed with it. I mean, to be honest, I'm obsessed. I've already listened to probably 2 or 3 hours today. Just in the car, I had to go between offices, or, when I was working out this morning, whatever it is, spend the time becoming the biggest student. I'll promise you'll become the biggest producer. So what is it that you want to know? If you're thinking about this from an agent's perspective and you're like, you know what, I really want to understand geographical farming. All right, this goes back to being a learner. This is the process I always encourage our agents to do. I call it my 3-2-1 process. If the next week you'll watch 3 videos, you'll listen to 2 podcasts, and you'll read 1 book, you're going to be smarter than 90% of the people in that area. And what typically happens is if you do that, you're going to get excited about it, and you're probably going to seek some more information about it before you even start implementing it. So if you'll be someone that is constantly wanting to learn and constantly wanting to grow, your business and money will chase you down like you can't even imagine if you'll be that person that's always learning and growing. And this business changes very quickly. So what is it that you can do today to begin to set yourself up for future success? So I'm going through a couple of these. I don't know if I'm going to get to 10, but I'm going to get you a few more, okay?
All right, please.
So, keep going. You're like the Jim Rohn of real estate right now.
Learning, being someone that is consistent, being someone that is focused on serving others. The other thing is a place of gratitude. The biggest thing I can see is I want to have a discontent with the amount of service I provide for people, but a contentment with where I am in the business. Now, what I mean by that is understand that where you are today, if you continue to do this, is not going to be where you're going to be tomorrow. But where you are today, if you've been working on this, is not where you were yesterday also. It is a process of continuously growing and being that person that continues to grow. As we continue to grow and as we continue to be somebody that moves the ball forward and focuses on making sure that we're learning enough and we're growing, then I promise you everything else is going to take care of itself. So if we're looking back on this, what is it that we could do to have that little bit of discontent as far as our knowledge? It comes from a place of, I want to serve other people as best I can. I've always thought of it this way. I try to think about this like with my kids. I got a son who's going to turn 16 next week. Man, I'm just be honest. I drove him to school this morning. Man, I don't have 5 more of those. Those conversations in the car, those things. So what I want to do is I want to be fully present as much as I can. So literally I think about this from a standpoint of, I imagine myself 20 years from now, how much would I give to have that time in that car with my son like I had this morning? what would I say? Would I be thinking about what was going on in the day, or would I be talking to him? So I try to stay focused on that. And then I try to bring it into the business. I encourage agents to do this. You're going on a listing appointment, and for the rest of your career, every listing appointment, this will be how you will set the tone for the rest of them. Will you be the most prepared for this listing appointment, or will you just kind of fake it till you make it? Will you take the time to prepare and understand who that seller is? Will you know the comps better than anybody else, or will you just kind of go with the flow? Imagine that this listing appointment, every one that you go on from this day forward, is going to be based on how you prepare on this one and how you perform in this one. And I promise you'll be more present than ever before. This is a business built on distractions. The biggest thing is those that can stay focused on what it is that's important for them, they'll absolutely do that. So another trait is that focus, being focused, understanding exactly what it is, having a clear path, being someone that has goals that they set out in front of themselves, being someone that focuses in on what it is they need to do today that their future self is going to thank them for. I run a mastermind with a group of our agents, and one of the things that we really focus in on is the leading indicators. What I mean by that is unfortunately, and here we are. I'm getting better though, y'all. I'm gonna promise you though. It's been a long winter though. We have a lot of people come to this area. So my weight today is a reflection of not what I ate for breakfast this morning. It's what I've been eating the last 90 days, unfortunately. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's the same in our real estate business. The closings, the listings, the things you have in your business right now, they aren't a reflection of what you're doing right now. It's what did you do the last 60, 90 days? And it's the same thing on the daily activities. We kind of focus in on how many conversations do you need on a daily basis to reach your transaction goal for the year. So I'm going to give a little formula here. And this is something I think from this standpoint, agents, if they understand the numbers, they realize what they can do on a daily basis. We use 50 conversations equals 50 real estate related conversations equals 1 real estate transaction. Okay. Now listen, there's going to be some people listening to this because they're diligent. They may do less. It may take more, but on average, if you do these over a year time frame, 50 real estate related conversations are going to roughly generate 1 transaction. So if we know that you're going to want to do 24 transactions, because that makes the numbers easy for me with this education I got, let's say that that's 2 a month. Okay. Now we know at 2,400, if we need 50 conversations for each one, we need 1,200 conversations for the year. Okay. That means that we need 100 a month. That means that we just simply need 25 a week. Now I'm not talking about just, hey, good to see you. I'm talking about real estate related conversations. Are you still happy with your house? Hey, I saw where your house had expired 6 months ago. What are you guys thinking about with your house? Mm-hmm. Hey, I know that you mentioned 3 months ago, if you can find the right house, has anything changed? These are real estate related conversations.
Yeah.
Once we understand that and we can get a daily plan of action there, we can stay focused on those leading indicators. And we know if we do these things, that this will result in this in the future. That's the agent that's going to have success. So again, that focus and that understanding of exactly the direction you're headed, having a plan of action and sticking to that, being diligent about it, being consistent about it, those are all things that are absolutely going to lead to the top agents separating themselves from other people.
You got 10 there, Alex?
I got 10. I got number 1 is others focus. Number 2 is persistence. Number 3 is consistent. Number 4 is make the phone calls and time blocking. Number 5 is be a learner. Number 6, be in a place of gratitude. Number 7, have a sense of discontent so that you're always building and growing. Be present, be focused. It's a numbers game. Understand the numbers. 50 real estate conversations equals 1 transaction.
How about that? Right on the nose.
There you go.
There we go. There we go.
We can play this thing back and repurpose it all over. So,
but you know what's fun about this is that this is an easy business that's hard because it's not natural. You know what I mean? The natural thing is to hope. The natural thing is to wait. The natural thing, but what really serves this is understanding that this is about service. And it's a different deal than waking up and saying, oh, I got to make 50 phone calls today. It's a whole different deal when you wake up and say, man, I get to make 50 phone calls with the potential of finding someone that I can help their family find the perfect dream home, and that they can have family memories in. That this Christmas, they will have memories of standing around that Christmas tree, passing gifts out to each other that they won't ever forget. Man, you know what? That family that just had their that had a grandkid that was born in another city, today I might find that family the ability for them to sell their home and relocate to where they can have those family memories that's truly important. You know, when we get back to focusing on what this is really about, and understanding it's not even about us, and that those phone calls are literally just being a bridge for helping somebody be where they are and where they want to go. This is the problem with that sometimes, though, is some people go into it not understanding that it's not always going to work out. And the second it doesn't work out like they think, they just fold, to be honest. I try to think of it this way. If my job is that people are here and they want to get here, I want to be that bridge. But here's the problem is, you know what happens to bridge a lot of times? What? They get walked over. And so sometimes what happens is you have to understand that if you're going to help people get there, you have to do this with an understanding that sometimes you're going to get walked over. That's part of the process. But you have to understand that that is a part of the process that gets you to be able to serve those people that you're supposed to serve. And once you come from that place of truly serving other people, it makes the phone calls a lot easier. It makes the difficult times a lot easier. Understanding exactly why you're doing this really does make a difference.
And on that note, I love what you said, understanding why it is that you're doing this. As a CEO, as a father, as a real estate professional, as a husband, as a family man, what would you say is your vision? Not just right now, but really talking future.
Yeah, my goal is that every single person that comes into contact with me is better for coming into contact with me than they were if they wouldn't have. So from that standpoint, for me, that's the focus of my life. When it comes to my kids, I mean, in reality, you know, when you go through what I went through, I had somebody tell me, said, look, this isn't even about you recovering from this. This is about your kids who life is going to punch at sometime in the face. Seeing a model of somebody that gets back up, brushes himself off, and comes back better than they were before. So I really try to approach everything. I'm getting older, man. I don't know what this is. I don't know when I became the guy that's, you know, that's 52 years old, got 30 years experience, and, you know, just, and I don't know when that happened. I don't feel that way. You know, I'm still trying to, I'm not going to go down without a fight on this getting older stuff. But I will tell you what has happened is now I'm at a place where it is about legacy. Now it is at a place where it's more about serving other people than it's ever been about. And I want, you know, the people that are truly important in my life, my family, my kids, those people that are close to me, my friends, I want them to feel pride, and that they know that I'm at a place where I'm trying to serve other people. And that's all I really want, man. I mean, I think when you get that, there is that, you know, I talked about being discontent with your business. There's a contentment that no matter what the results are, I know I woke up this morning and I tried to make this world a better place. And more days than not, it works out that way. And so that's for me, what really drives me is it truly is about figuring out what that looks like. And you know what's crazy is the second I flipped it from it being about me and me trying to figure out how I'm going to make this amount of money and I'm going to have this many sales, and I focused on serving people, the numbers and the money, it came way faster and way bigger than it ever did when I was chasing it. It chased me once I flipped it around. So I think that's the biggest thing, is to understand when your why is solid and you know what it is, and it's to make this place a better place. I promise the money's going to take care of itself.
Are you a believer in making? I'm sorry, Mr. Montalini, go ahead, please.
No, we're with you on that. I mean, when COVID happened, Mario and I decided to just do these educational webinars every day at 2:00. And hundreds of agents started tuning in, and they started writing us emails after, like, if, you know, I tune into your webinars every day. Like, if it wasn't for you, I would have quit the real estate game. This is like such a tough game, but like, you guys are keeping me in it. And that just like lit us up. And I mean, we went from business, like, we didn't know what tomorrow would look like. Could we make payroll, to suddenly the business doubled.
Yeah.
And doubling ever since. And it's just,
hey, Alex, speaking of that, you know, this is what I encourage agents to do, because listen, there are going to be tough days. Don't sleep on the fact that there's going to be some tough days. So what do you do during those tough days? Having those things, I encourage all agents to print their testimonials or all of those emails that were encouraging about how they helped somebody's family or did something, and have those on review. Let me tell you what I do. Let me show y'all something real quick, okay?
Yes, please.
This was on the top drawer. You know what this is? What you're talking about. Agents that have sent me and said, thank you. I keep those things. And when it gets tough, I lean right over there and I grab those things and I just start reading them. And I just start remembering why I do what I do. For agents, you know, the second that tough transaction comes, go read those reviews. Go read those notes from those families. Go pull up those Christmas cards you're getting of that family standing in front of that house that you put them in that position with all their family smiling and knowing that you put them in a better position. I think when we get to that point where we can really focus on those things and you understand that that's what this is about, those tough days when they come, it doesn't mean they're not going to come. It means that you have a why that's big enough to understand that it's worth it to fight through those things. So I love the fact that you said that, Alex, because it is. Those things are that's where the juice is at. That's where the juice is all of that understanding the how we truly do serve other people.
You know, you just brought up something that I don't think a lot of realtors really think about is when you're putting somebody into a home and their family lives in it and then their kids live in it. Like my mom was one of those people where she moved into her home and she lived in her home for like 35 years. You know, she had a dream that me and my brother would live in that home, and I did for a while. And then eventually I'm like, Mom, you know, I got to get my own place. But she had this like vision of it. So it's like all those experiences, right? But we're like looking for the next transaction. But meanwhile, while you're looking for the next transaction, all these experiences and memories and like life events are happening in the home that you help place that family in. And then beyond that, my mom sells the home and then retires to Florida and like creates, you know, wealth for her family and like investment properties that she can live off of. If it wasn't for that, she wouldn't have money, right?
That's
like
right.
She wouldn't have income. And like, I think we lose track because we're looking at like the next moment, and the next moment, it's like there's lifetimes of events and memories that happen in the real estate business.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more.
So I would love to also hear from you. You've been doing this social media stuff for a while, and you lead by example. What are the trends you're noticing? Where do you see this is going? And agents who are either halfway in it or they're thinking about it, or the ones that are trying to, you know, move the same way as you are. What are the trends? What are you seeing that people should be taking advantage of?
Yeah, I think this goes back to being a learner. You know, I'm gonna give y'all something. Literally, this is hot off the presses this week. I mean, I was sitting with our marketing team this past week for the company, so we're constantly testing things for agents. So this is one I would definitely do because we just saw results. You know, it used to be Facebook was just pay to play. It's almost changed a little bit. Y'all notice that? Facebook's actually, you know, making a little comeback here. So we posted all the listings for our agents on our company Facebook page. I don't know, it's got maybe 8,000, 10,000 people that are on the Facebook page. Maybe it's more than that. I think it's more than that. But anyway, let me just give you these numbers. So what we did is we post there a picture of the house, and then we post in there just a description of the house. We do it for every one of them. Those things don't get much engagement. They hadn't been. We did one thing this past week. We went into Chat GPT. We took the description that was in the MLS. We dropped it into Chat GPT and said, please write a Facebook post description with optimized SEO in 3 lines. I don't know. When I try to do that stuff, it looks choppy because I'm trying to use certain words. This thing flowed. We just dropped it in there. 40,000 organic views on this house post. So here we are now split testing a lot of these things because the ability and you know, right now is tremendous. I'm going to speak specifically to agents. Start utilizing Chat GPT to help you write some of those optimized things. We're using Chat GPT for some of our agents to write and say, okay, take this description. You know, they're having it write the description because it's really good for the house. And then we're saying, reduce this to a script for a video for an Instagram reel. And it comes back. And then if we've got an agent that's kind of got a good sense of humor, we say, make it funnier. Or if it's somebody that's very numbers driven, make it more professional. Whatever it is to suit that person. Yes. And those things are killing right now, you know? So obviously short form video is where it's at right now. I would just encourage you, you know, we're using, I don't know what y'all use as far as for editing some of that stuff. But we're using CapCut some. We're using some of these different platforms. It helps us do that. We got, I mean, obviously, I think that, using RealGrader gives you a good idea of exactly where you are and what you can be doing. Just going out there and testing some of these things for yourself. If you're on LinkedIn, using ChatGPT to write for you because the written word works so well there, going in and doing content pieces about your area, just lifestyle stuff. Five best neighborhoods in your city. Write me a LinkedIn post about the 5 best places to whatever in your city. 5 best neighborhoods in your city. ChatGPT is going to go, and then you just adjust it. I mean, put it in your words, you know what I mean? But it's got, and then post that thing on LinkedIn. You got a piece of content in less than 5 minutes. Utilizing the tools that are out there right now is so easy to do. And then just figure out what it is for you. I mean, if I would encourage people, here's the best platform for every single agent use, whatever they're comfortable on. I mean, listen, if all you know is Facebook, Facebook's doing great right now. If you're comfortable on Instagram, use Instagram. If you're wanting to expand, use TikTok. If you're wanting to, expand even more, use YouTube Shorts. But the bottom line is this: a year from now, you're going to wish you had done more video. So why not just go ahead and start taking that effort and moving forward of utilizing video, whether it's short form on all these platforms or whether it's on YouTube. Just get active. It is, it's what's the old saying, it's hard to turn a parked car. Just get going fast and see what starts working for you. One of the things that I mentioned about doing all those videos to get to the 100 subscribers was you need the reps to first off get better. Second, you need the reps to be able to see what do people respond to. What does your audience respond to? Do they respond to market updates? Do they respond to you talking about local restaurants? Do they respond to you giving, information about specific properties? Or is it about, you doing behind the scenes of you putting a sign in the ground and saying, I don't just put signs in the ground, I also market properties like this, bing, 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 bing. Whatever it is, test things out, and I promise you're going to start getting some results. It's amazing to me that we can go in there and get this free audience, the way it does with social media right now. So,
well, yeah, you take it back in the day when my mom was a realtor, she was paying like $7 a word.
Yes.
In the papers, in the New York Times or in the Newsday. Yeah. And then the other thing is like the creativity. I know for a lot of people, creativity, it doesn't come natural, right? But now with ChatGPT, you can take a basic description of a property and say, give me a romantic story about this home.
Yeah.
And you got this beautiful story about the home, and then turn that into a video, and boom, now you got a script for a video.
Yeah.
It's crazy what you can do now.
It really is. It really is.
This is really, really valuable. Can you describe, I'm sure a lot of agents, I'm not very clear about this. What is short form video?
Yeah. So short form video, think of it this way. Basically, if you're wanting to do a YouTube short, it has to be a minute or shorter to be able to qualify for that. If you're looking at TikTok and you're doing a TikTok or you're doing an Instagram reel, it has to be a minute and a half or shorter. So we call those short form videos. So this would be something where you're not going into a 10-minute talk about whatever. This could be 3 things people, I'm just going to use this example. Yeah. 3 things people wish they knew before they moved to our city, your city or whatever. And you just hit them with, they wish they knew about, they wish they knew about the school system. And here's something that you should know about our school system. It's ranked this in the state, it's doing that. Second thing they wish they knew, and you just give them facts. And the beauty on that is if you're like, man, I don't know what 5 facts would be about my city, ChatGPT. Just ask it to tell you 5 facts that people might not know about living in Atlanta, Georgia, or wherever you are. And I'll promise you it's going to give you everything you need.
Yeah, it just gets easier and easier for, the agents listening in. I mean, back in the day, I was like, what am I going to talk about for 5 minutes? Like, I don't have enough to talk about. Well, now it's short form. It's literally like 30 seconds to a minute, and you can fill that space. And if you can't fill that space and you're scared to be on video, then you could take CapCut or InVideo and then go in ChatGPT and grab some script and put it into that video. And now you've got a professional video with text over it, and you're not even in there. Maybe you do a voiceover. So, I mean, we're taking, it keeps getting easier and easier and easier, but I think people get into this, paralysis analysis. It's like, I don't know what to do. Should I do it at this time? Should I post at 12 o'clock or 2 o'clock? Oh, wait, I missed the window. Like, just do it. Just do something.
Just do it, and you will begin to see the results. That's the other thing is you have to understand that all of these social media platforms, if you're just starting, they're trying to figure out who you are as well. So one of the things is the more videos you do that are to the point of whatever it is you're trying to do about a certain subject, the easier it's going to be for them to put it in front of the right people. One thing we saw that has changed this year is obviously we saw that Instagram and TikTok expanded the what you can do as far as the number of words in your description. And the reason being is, and they told us this, they were moving more to a search type of description than where they were before, which was mostly driven by hashtags. So utilize your description to write a description that tells them. So if you're a realtor for our area, Santa Rosa Beach, Florida, somewhere in your description, it needs to have Santa Rosa Beach, Florida. Somewhere it needs to have real estate. So that every time you post, you begin to just filter down, okay, well, this is a realtor from Santa Rosa Beach. And now Instagram, for instance, understands more about what your content is, so they can more easily put it in front of people. You have to understand that as you're doing this, it does take the consistency. And over time, what happens is not only do you get better, but the platform gets better at understanding who you are and who the ideal client is for you or viewer of that post. And they're going to put it in front of the ideal people. So just keep doing the reps. Like you say, just do it. Just keep moving, and you'll start getting better and better data, and you'll start doing better and better as far as your performance.
And you mentioned that it took you 16 months before you got 100 subscribers.
Yeah.
So what kept you going? I mean, month after month, just nobody watching your videos, maybe one or two people, no likes, no comments.
So I had been 25, 26 years at that point in real estate. And I knew this is stuff I wish I would have had. And I knew that every time I shot a video, it was getting better. And I knew that if I stayed consistent, that it was going to have the ability to continue to grow. I just trusted the process. I just trusted the fact. I was literally on a call because I do a mastermind group for our brand of some of the top producers about 2 hours ago. And there was one of the agents on there that said, I did video for like 6 months and I didn't get any results. And, and so I'm sitting there going, man, it took me 16 months. I could have quit at 6 months, and I just think you have to understand and trust that you're doing what is right. The other thing is it shouldn't take you as long now because I'm doing this process talking about always being a learner. I've been on calls this week with 2 already. I went and found 10 agents or mortgage brokers that had over 50,000 followers on Instagram. And I went and I've been just reaching out to them and just asking them questions, saying, hey, listen, I want to add some value to you. Let me tell you some things. I want to bring value. I don't want to just take it. And I've gotten more information from that group of what they did, but every single one of them. One of the highlights that I found was, and I've just found this, listen, the top performing people that get to that 50,000 level, typically those 50,000 people that have them following them, it's between 8 and 12% of the number of posts they've done, or 8 times the number of posts they've done, 8 to 12 times. So if somebody's got this guy I was on with yesterday, he's like, man, your stuff is doing great, and I was like, well, I just feel like it's just kind of slowly happening on Instagram. I never really focused there. He said, no, let me show you this. He said, let me show you mine and yours. And he says, yes, I have 70,000 people, but I've also made 5,975 posts on Instagram. You have 4,200 people and you've made 275 posts. You have to understand that it is the reps. It is understanding that this is a process. And that goes back to the consistency. And the more that you do and the more value you bring, the quicker you're going to see that following continue to grow.
I love the reps. It's like your social media muscle.
Yeah, it is.
Media muscle look like.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing is when you're growing the most, when it's most uncomfortable. So consequently, you may be sitting there going, man, I just really don't like doing video. I'll promise you everything you want is right on the other side of that comfort. I say it this way, growth and comfort cannot coexist. They just cannot coexist. So if you're comfortable, you're probably not growing. What is it that you're doing where you're getting comfortable being uncomfortable? Because the second you can do that, I promise the business is going to keep growing.
I just got one comment before you go, Mario, so you're ready to go. But
no.
Yeah, it's like just recently we closed an investment round, right? We were raising money, and it took us a year to do this round. And I had counted over 300 conversations to get there, right? Like 8 investors, but 300 conversations, each of them 15 to 30 to an hour, sometimes 3 times. And I was telling my kids at dinner, I was like, well, we had a bottle of champagne to celebrate. And I was telling them, I'm like, listen, this is a huge victory. And they're like, well, tell us all about it. You know, at first they didn't really care. But then I was like, all right, you got to listen to this. And I was like, it's 300 people. And I was like, where would you have quit or would you have kept going? And then we went around the room and they're like, oh, after 5 conversations, I would have been done. After 20 conversations, I would have been done. It's like, yeah, that's what it takes. It's like consistent work, persistence, consistency, and eventually it pays off.
Yeah, man. I love y'all's story. I mean,
you have a nice phrase, a nice catchphrase for this, Mr. Montalenti.
Which one? Social media muscle?
No. The one about simple tasks done consistently produce.
Yeah. Ordinary things done consistently produce extraordinary results.
Yeah, it's great. So true. So true. Yeah. But most people are they don't do the ordinary. They're looking for that easy button. They don't understand it is just the consistent of doing the things that you know will do it. You just have to do it. In reality, being successful ends up being a little bit boring because you're doing the same things every day. Some of my friends that are the most fit, they eat the same thing every day. You know, I'm like, well, that's kind of boring, you know, but yeah, it gets results. You know, the people that are the best in the real estate business, they get up and they do the same thing every day. 9 to 10, they make phone calls, you know, 2 to 5, they have appointments, you know, noon, they have lunch with a past client. I mean, it's just like Groundhog Day, you know, it's just everything just
happens. Funny thing. Funny you say that because I've been traveling for the past 2 weeks and I used to hate routine. Yeah. Right. Like routine, like I need change. I need the crazy stuff. But now, like being on the road for 2 weeks, like I so miss my routine. Yeah. I thrive in routine. Yeah. I don't thrive in inconsistent, like crazy stuff.
No, I know. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I like what you said about, I mean, this is, you're the one that brought it, so I can repeat it. You said, what I look like is what I've been eating for the last 90 days, you said, right?
True. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've been doing ab work and hitting the gym for the last 90 days, and I'm very proud of
you ought to be. You ought to be. That's exactly right. I'll tell you what, though, Maury, see me in 90 days.
Now we're talking.
I'm coming at you. I promise you. Yeah. You know, it's beach weather down here. I got to get ready.
Right.
We should that should be number 11, a competitive spirit.
That's true. You're absolutely right. You are absolutely right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's good stuff, man.
Yes. Thank you so much, Jimmy. Please come back again. We want to hear you bring some more of that fire, some of the new latest and greatest in your growth and what you're doing for all the agents, for the industry. It's an absolute pleasure sharing this time with you.
Absolutely. All right, guys. I appreciate it. Y'all let me know what I can do to help, okay?
Absolutely.